If I could listen to what I'm saying now a year ago, I would be like, what are you talking about?
There should have been a game maybe that would have been better than that, but it never happened.
He absolutely is going to be a leader of Blues going forward.
And it was just one of those goals where you just went, oh my God.
Still with us, he stayed with us in League One. He has been incredible, an absolute rock in midfield.
He will probably go down as one of our best ever players. I mean, he is world class. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Second City podcast for the 2024 year in review. We did this last year, we're bringing it back, and obviously I'm joined by Daniel Sketchday.
Yes, hello Cal, how are you? How are you keeping? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, yeah, Happy New Year. It feels like Christmas because the football is here at this time of year.
To avoid the confusion, so we're recording this. So Cal, you're actually about to go away for a couple of weeks with work on a big trip. So we're actually recording this on the 14th of December. So that's what we're saying. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and all of the above. So this is kind of our end of year review sort of thing. And you mentioned we did this last year. We did do this last year, Cal. And unless I'm mistaken, it was our best performing video ever, I think. Always close.
It might be number two.
Might be number two. Okay. It was on about 3,000-ish views on YouTube, I think, just on YouTube. So let's try and beat it this year. That'd be amazing. Or if we can get close,
something.
That would be fantastic. Because it was the first time we'd done it in person as well, wasn't it? In the studio here.
Sadly, we can't be there to do it in person this time. It just hasn't quite worked out. But we will do. There's some good chances that in the new year we'll get a couple of in-person podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah, definitely. It's looking pretty positive. But yeah, you're keeping well and everything, Carl, ahead of your big trip.
Yeah, my suitcase is pretty much all packed just down here.
Where are you off to again, if you're allowed to say? Are you allowed to say?
Yeah, I'm going to Sydney, Australia for 3 weeks. So Christmas, New Year. I was checking the weather forecast yesterday and it's 25 degrees, glorious sunshine. Nice. A bit better than here. Although today's a nice day.
It's lovely here today, actually. It's cold, but it's beautiful, actually. I will be here over Christmas, but I have got my Las Vegas mug.
Hooray!
That I got from my dad. But so it reminds me of being on holiday. But yes, here we are. Means I'm here though for all the football at least, so we can keep tabs on all of that. But yeah, this is our 2024 review. So what we're doing today, Cal, we're going to go through, like last year, a series of topics, basically, aren't we? Reviewing our club's year in summary, basically. So best game, best goal. Worst moment, what could it be for Blues? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like best sign-in, most shocking moment, things like that. Hopes for 2025. So it should be really good. Should be a lot of fun. A bit more informal, maybe, I guess. So yeah, should be good.
Christmas is a time for reflection, and this is where we're going to reflect on our club's year and as we head into the new year.
Yeah, so shall we? Well, we could do what we're wearing, I guess. Although it might be a bit of a quick one this week because
it could be.
Yeah, but we'll do that, and then we'll get into our we'll start, I think, with a general summary of our years. So you'll do a general summary on Villa's year, I'll do a general summary on Blues year, and then we'll get into some topics. Sound good, Cal?
Works for me.
Lovely.
Do you want to guess first, or shall I guess first for what we're wearing this week?
Well, what we're wearing is a little different this week. Cal, you're wearing a Villa Christmas jumper. Muller sponsored. Although mulled wine. Oh, that is good.
So this is great. This is not sponsored, but this jumper is off Classic Football Shirts, and it's it's based off a real Aston Villa kit. So if you want to try and guess the year of the real kit, you can do. But it's full of great Easter eggs, and I'll run you through some of them here. So obviously the sponsor was Muller, so mulled wine. Axis was the kit maker. It says Xmas. The Aston Villa badge, it says, instead of prepared, it says presents. It's got a reindeer rather than the lion. And look at this Premier League sleeve patch. Instead of the lion, it's another reindeer.
It's in a Christmas tree shirt. Wow. I've no idea what year it's based on. I guess I do have a rough idea. Mid-90s, I guess. 96.
It's a bit earlier than that. It's like 93, I think it is. 93, 94, yeah. So
okay, fair enough.
So yeah, based off that shirt. It's very warm. It's needed this time of year.
Yeah, it is. Yes, we say it's a beautiful day today, but it is nippy. So you were nagging me to wear a Blues Christmas jumper right before we came on. I don't have a Blues Christmas jumper, and I also wasn't able to source a new shirt for this week's episode that I haven't worn before. So I've just gone for what am I wearing, Carl? It's a very basic.
You're wearing a yellow Adidas jacket with a Blues badge on it. But I guess it would have been like an away shirt walkout jacket or something would be my guess.
Yes, I think that's right.
So we'll try and guess the year. I imagine you've had quite a few yellow kits over the years, but the one Adidas one that really stands out was 2018-19, which is the one behind you. Yeah.
Yes, I
So that
love that shirt. The with the
it's the
triple
one you
X.
wore at Villa Park, isn't it? In
It
what was
is,
the
yeah.
score that day? I can't remember,
Well,
Dan.
let's move on.
Yeah.
20. Yeah, this was like a training shirt, sort of away styled training shirt for the 18-19 season. I loved the away kit so much, which is behind me there, that I just and I for all the kit makers we've had, and obviously we've got Nike at the minute. We had Lonsdale, Diodora. I don't know who else we had. X-Tep. Um, my favorite was Adidas. I thought their kits. I've actually got three of the four kits behind me. In fact, are Adidas by coincidence. And I just went a bit. I was like, oh my god, I've got to buy the tracksuit and everything as well. I didn't buy the whole tracksuit. I bought the shirt, obviously. Um, but yeah, 2018-19. I can't remember if it was a walkout tracks like jacket. It might have been for the away games. But yeah, I really loved that shirt, so I bought this as well. But in the new year, I promise I'll be back with some new shirts, some new blue shirts. I left it till the last minute trying to arrange one yesterday. So yes, 18-19. Sweet. Shall we get into sort of a general review of the year? First of all, Kat, I don't know about you. I cannot believe it's been a year since we did the 2023 end of year review.
It
That
doesn't
is like,
seem that long ago. I guess when you think
no,
back to where both clubs were this time a year ago, that does seem a long time ago. But the us being sat in the studio
yeah,
reflecting on the year doesn't seem like it was 12 months
no.
ago. But
No, but a lot has happened. Shall we start with the sort of general wrap up then of our years? Do you want to start, Cal, maybe with Villa?
yeah.
Sort of general feelings. What will 2024 be remembered for in your mind?
Yeah, so a little review because I mean it took me 5 minutes to start going through some of our results over the first half of the year, remembering maybe what happened, especially in the January period, because 2024 actually didn't start very well for Aston Villa. After we had you may remember we had a small slump over the Christmas of 2023, where we could have gone top of the league and we kind of blew the game at home to Sheffield United. We then threw away a two-goal lead at Old Trafford on Boxing Day. Um, and then we just about scraped past Burnley just before the new year. So we weren't in great form heading into January. We started the year by getting out of the third round of the FA Cup for the first time since we lost in the final to Arsenal in 2015. But we only just about scraped past Middlesbrough, and we were then knocked out in the fourth round replay against Chelsea, where they absolutely battered us at Villa Park. We had a draw with Everton. We lost at home to Man United. We lost at home to Newcastle. But while our league form was maybe a bit shaky, we were having a good run in Europe, and we did make the Europa Conference League semi-finals where we beat Ajax and Lille on the way. We ended up having heavy defeats at home to Spurs and away at Manchester City. But we had a huge win at Arsenal, which I still believe was our last league away clean sheet. Um, which is quite incredible, really.
Yeah.
We had a great comeback at home to Liverpool, which pretty much secured us Champions League football for the first time in a generation, about 40 years. Um, and then we headed into the new season. It started well. We won on opening night for the first time since 2018. Um, but we've been leaking goals. It led to some great comebacks against Everton and Wolves. The Champions League has been mega. We won the opening three without conceding a goal. And after 6 games, we're in the hunt for automatic qualification to the round of 16. The league form took a hit through November after after a strong start and a really disappointing draw at home to Bournemouth, and it set us on something like an 8 game winless run in all competitions. Um, but we've started to come out of that as we've hit these festive fixtures. So it has been a great year. Maybe not as great as 2023 in terms of the results, but the highs have been incredibly high. The lows have maybe been a bit lower, but it sets up 2025 really well. And 2025 could be a really big year for Aston Villa.
Yeah, it's been certainly a good year to have started the podcast. I think 2023 leading into obviously the rest of 2023 and 2024. I think for both clubs, it's turned out both years have been very um, sort of landmark years almost. I feel like very significant things have happened both years. Um, and yeah, that absolutely applies to Blues as well. So if I had to describe 2024 in a word, it would be tumultuous.
Yeah.
I think so. If you listen back to our 2023 review in my hopes for 2024 section, I said something about like I can't remember exactly what I said, but I said something like hopefully we'll stabilise under Rooney, keep building under Rooney, and then I made a joke like, "Oh, watch him be gone by March or something." So they were my hopes for 2024. January 2nd,
Yeah.
Rooney was sacked. New Year's Day, we lost 3-0 to Leeds. I think we released the episode on New Year's Eve, so 2 days after we released the episode, Rooney got sacked. So we were already on our second manager of the season by the first week of January. Um, so yeah, let's set the scene.
Third,
Rooney had
third
came in.
manager.
Yeah, sure, sure. Rooney said came in. I really wanted it to work. It sadly wasn't. The board accepted that if we were going to spend some money in January or keep progressing, they had to, that a change had to be made. So Rooney left as early as the 2nd of January after only 15 games. He leaves, but then we made a brilliant appointment in Tony Mowbray, who, we know like plenty of Baggies fans and Celtic fans and so on, and they all speak so highly of Mowbray. Um, and he came in and we really had a big upturn in form. We had some great wins, some rough patches as well. I remember we lost away at Sheffield Wednesday, and that was a terrible performance. But we had a great win against Sunderland at home, and we played Leicester away in the cup, and we lost. We did lose 3-0 to a Leicester team that would go on to get promoted, obviously. But that first half, it was night and day to the Rooney era. It was just like exciting, front-footed, fearless football. I was, yeah, ironically, because obviously under
The
what was the
no
word
fear
they used?
football.
No fear football. And yeah, and I was really excited about what was to come. I was like, we should comfortably, stay up now after a really bad run. We got half the season to amend this. And then obviously we had some terrible news after. I think Mowbray had only been there for, was it like 8 games or something? 8 to 10 games. Unfortunately, due to his health, had to step down, and it was only meant to be temporary. But then eventually, it turned out he would have to leave the role permanently. Um, and so then his assistant Mark Venus takes over for a few games, and we just got on a terrible run. And I kind of felt bad for him because it wasn't really clearly it wasn't his strength to manage the team. And then we have a bizarre situation as we're hurtling towards relegation again, where Gary Rowett, who obviously left the club in 2016, came back. If I could listen to what I'm saying now a year ago, I would be like,
Yeah.
"What are you talking about? What? Slow down."
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Gary Rowett comes back. Sadly, it's not enough, and we do end up being relegated to League One for the first time in 30 years, which I think even if you told me that in the February or something, I just thought we'd have enough to see it out, but obviously not. And so in our first year under the new ownership, we were sadly relegated due to a couple of just really bad decisions.
And
Um,
John Eustace helped relegate you on the final day as well.
John Eustace's Blackburn winning on the last day, yeah, helped send us down. But so the first half of the year was really rough. In our sort of low points and worst games and whatever, I can get into a bit more detail in that. But the upside is the second half of 2024 has been a lot better, a lot more enjoyable, and we're ending the year, I feel like, in a much better place than we ended last year, weirdly. Because we're currently, so we're recording this the morning of the Bristol Rovers games for context. So December 14th, we're recording this. I I'm really excited for 2025. We're currently third, but with games in hand, if we were to win our game in hand and everything else to go our way, we would be top. Chris Davies is the manager now. We made 17 new signings in the summer, broke our all-time transfer record, the all-time League One transfer record with Jay Stansfield. And yeah, it's fun. We're scoring goals. We keep the ball. We're good in possession. It's not perfect. We have kinks to iron out. I feel like we still haven't really got out of like third gear yet, really. But the future's bright. So it's been tumultuous. It's been a year of what, 6 managers. But the future's bright, and I'm excited to see where 2025 will take us.
Top stuff. So
Yeah,
that's if you'd been hiding under a rock, that's what's been happening in Villa
yeah,
and Blues throughout 2024. Let's hit our sort of topics then, Dan. What
yes,
was your best game, your favorite game of 2024?
yes.
I might even throw a curveball out there. I haven't even planned this one myself because the answer
Right.
might be different. The best game you went to?
Okay, it is the same, but good
So,
differentiation. Because basically all of our greatest game, basically almost all of them came at home. Our best wins, especially in the first half of the year in the championship, our home record is kind of where a lot of the great stuff has been. Although obviously our away record in League One's been a lot better um, than it was in the championship. But yeah, no, I've got a few that stand out. Not too many from the championship side of it, obviously, but the 3-0 win against Coventry towards the end of last season under Gary Rowett, which was only a few games towards the end of the season, was a great day. Easily Tyler Roberts' best performance for Blues by a mile. It was a sellout, great atmosphere. Jay Stansfield scored a lovely goal where Roberts threaded him through and Stansfield got on the end of it. So that was a
Sunjic
good
crying on the
memory.
pitch.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course, because Sunjic kind of knew he was going to leave, and he scored the second one. He knew it was probably going to be one of his last games for us, and that was like, yeah, I really felt for him. He'd had ups and downs with Blues, but you could tell how much it like meant to him in that moment. So yeah, and that was kind of the emotion of football, and so I appreciated that for sure. But for the most part, all our best memories have been in League One for 2024. We played Wigan at the end of August, where we won. We won 2-1. I think did we go? No, I think we went 1-0 up. Excuse me, sorry. And then Wigan pulled one, Wigan equalised, but then we scored like a 91st minute winner with Scott Wright. Not an amazing game necessarily, but that moment, like the goal, the winner was really special, and the video footage of the limbs in front of the Tilton was amazing. I went to Wickham away also in August. Obviously, you were there, where we won 3-2. Really good game, and a lovely goal from Willem Willemsen. First win back in League One, so that was special. But my game of the year, no question, has to be in September when we beat Wrexham at home 3-1 on a Monday night. And it was kind of a bit of a circus made about it. Obviously, Wrexham with their Hollywood owners, and obviously we had Tom Brady come over, and then David Beckham was there and all that. But it was great, and that all contributed to it. It was this like star-studded event, and I found it quite. I can't lie, I found it quite exciting, and the fact that we played so well and live on Sky Sports Monday Night Football. Um, I don't know, it was great. I got there and it was like sort of end of summer, like, the sky was this like
Yeah.
blood red, and then like we went 1-0 down actually very early on, but then we just completely turned it on. We just signed Jay Stansfield for the big money. It was I think was it his first league game back or his second? And he scored twice, and then Tomoki Iwata scored an unreal third goal. The place was just rocking. It was the best atmosphere I've seen at Blues in years, and it was. If we can have a couple more nights like that before the end of the season, I'll be very pleased. Um, yeah, really special. And apart from maybe the Bolton game where we won quite comfortably, it's probably the best we've played all season. After we went 1-0 down, we didn't look back. We just completely dominated a team that presumably will be one of our promotion rivals for the rest of the season. So yeah, Wrexham 3-1 at home, I think it was September the 16th or something like that. Yeah, that was my best game for sure of 2024. How about you? What was your favorite game?
Oh, I mean, there's some good contenders, but I think there's only going to be one winner. But I'll give an honourable mention to, and it was probably our best game away from home, which was the 2-0 win away at Arsenal. Um, they were on an unreal set of form at the time. I think the start of 2024 they hadn't lost a game. And the only points that they dropped was away at Manchester City where they got a 0-0 draw. They were top of the league, looking like they were going to win their first league title since what was it 2004. Um, and then we rock up to the Emirates. We have to suffer a little bit in the first half, and maybe we on another day we would have been a goal down, but Ollie Watkins hit the post. And in the second half, we just turned it on, and we got the goal a goal late on. Leon Bailey scored, and then Ollie Watkins, as they piled people forward, Tielemans plays Watkins in behind, and he pulls out this delicious chip over David Raya, and we win the game 2-0. An absolutely incredible performance. Um, and a real highlight. And as I said in that sort of intro at the start, as the last time we had an away clean sheet in the league, um, which maybe, we'll talk about some of the worst moments of the season, and conceding goals is certainly one of those. But the best game, you just can't look past it. And it's also the best game that I went to is Bayern Munich at home in the Champions League. Um, Obviously a rerun of when we won the European Cup in 1982. I don't know. We'd already had our first Champions League game away at Young Boys, but this is kind of when it's the first one that I went to. It's the first home game. That's when I think it really sunk in that, oh my God, we're in the Champions League. And we're waiting for the bus, and like Seferin's walking past, and um, loads of past players. Everyone was there that night. That place was packed. The place was rocking. And then John Duran scores an absolutely incredible goal out of nowhere to win the game 1-0. And yeah, that was unreal. That was a real special night. Special night with my dad, and he should have been at the final in 1982. He talks about listening to it on the radio and watching it on the telly. And so like to see Bayern Munich come to Villa Park and then for us to beat them yeah, it's just incredible night. And it's hard to pick another game that could come even close. Maybe there should have been a game maybe that would have been better than that, but it never happened. So,
Right. Yes.
um, but yeah, that it has to be Bayern at home.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Shall we move into more specifically then best goal? So I don't know if you want to start this time. Do you have a favourite goal that you saw Villa score this year? A goal that defines 2024?
I mean, it's good. I mean, you could pick any John Duran goal of the last 6 months. Um, I mean, the Ollie Watkins goal against Arsenal was one that I just personally really, really liked. Um, but yeah, Duran versus Bayern's a good one. But I don't think you can't look past Duran versus Everton. That is like that might as well end the goal of the season
Yeah,
competition now. It was like, what was it, game week 3 or something of the season? 2-0 down, back to 2-2, and then he just pulls that out of absolutely nowhere. Outrageous goal. So yeah, it has to be that. I can't describe it. I wasn't at that game. I remember watching it on my phone while I was working out in Italy. And there's this really important sort of meeting happening in this office we were in, and I was just being really quiet watching the game. And it was just one of those goals where you just went, "Oh my God!" like, like
oh,
unbelievable what happened. Just
sure,
like,
sure.
so yeah, it has to be that.
Fair enough. I bet you're glad he's stayed. It looked very much like he was going in the summer at one point.
Yeah, it's
Um,
mad, isn't it? You think of all the goals and all, the important goals as well that he scored in this time in this 6 months. And if only West Ham had paid like £3 million more for him, they'd have had
yeah,
him. So
yeah. Lopetegui's probably gone by the time we're uploading this.
yeah,
If it
probably.
brought him in, you never know. Cool. I would say for Blues, I already mentioned Willem Willemsen scored a lovely sort of volley, or yeah, it was a volley
Yeah, that
basically,
was a
wasn't
good goal.
it? That was a lovely finish with his left foot, incredible. I mentioned the Scott Wright goal against Wigan, not an amazing goal, but for the moment was a great goal, so that was kind of a memorable one. I mentioned Iwata against Wrexham. Iwata has scored loads of great goals. He also scored another lovely volley, which I think was that with his left foot as well against Bolton, which is a beautiful goal as well. For technique, was right up there. A theme here that they're all from this season. One great goal we did score in 2024 last season. Juninho Bacuna scored a free kick at Stoke, which I think was in January. That was an unbelievable goal. I think it was a direct free kick. That was a lovely goal. Um, but I really narrowed it down to two, and I'm still kind of tossing over it in the moment. I think I'm going to say my winner, but in second place, and if this had happened earlier, this would maybe be my number one. Jay Stansfield last week, his goal against Barnsley, the first goal, he scored twice against Barnsley. The first goal, I don't know if you've seen it, Cal. I love that goal. It's got a bit of like, it's not as good as this, obviously, but it reminds me of like Michael Owen against Argentina. Like we'd just gone 1-0 down. It's like a minute later the ball comes into him and he has this strength to just get away from his man and he absolutely rifles the ball with his right foot, top left corner. I love that goal. If that had happened earlier and I had a bit more time to sit with it, that would probably be my goal of 2024. But I am going to give it to actually it was a League Cup game. My goal of 2024. Brandon Keeler, we beat Charlton away 1-0, and it was an amazing goal for a young lad to. The ball comes to him outside the box. I don't know, he's about 30, 35 yards out, and he just curls it beautifully, top right corner. Amazing goal for a confidence of that. A lad playing out of position as well. One of his first Blues games, powering up from left back. I think he'd been playing. Yeah, Brandon Keeler away at Charlton in the League Cup. That is an unbelievable goal. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a bit more of him in 2025. Yeah, Brandon Keeler. That'd be my pick.
We'll stick with you, Dan, and this section could go on for quite a while, because you've signed a lot of players in the
Yes,
summer. Who
yes.
is your signing of the season? I think I know the answer, but who would be your signing of 2024?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, well, as I say, we signed 17 players in the summer. We signed three in January, and two of them aren't with us anymore. So that says a lot. But I have to say a shout out to that January. Pek Sung Ho has been an unbelievable signing. Who Mowbray brought in. He is still with us. He stayed with us in League One. He has been incredible, an absolute rock in midfield. I think Iwata went really under the radar because he was signed on the same day as someone else from Celtic. He's been a brilliant signing. He's settled right in, and him and Peck could play easily in the Championship if we go up. I think they'll fit right in. I think Willemsen's been a really good signing. Alfie May obviously is doing the business again. He's been a brilliant signing from Charlton, but my signing obviously there's a defining moment of 2024. Jay Stansfield coming in for what, like 15 million plus add-ons from Fulham. When we got relegated, I was like, there's no chance he's coming back after he was so good on loan last year. bring him in on a 7-year contract, an absolute statement for Blues. Jay Stansfield, yeah, he's already in the top three scorers in League One this year. I know a lot of them have been penalties, but I think he absolutely is going to be a leader at Blues going forward. Very excited, and I just hope he stays fit, and I hope he keeps doing what he's doing because I think he's a real fans' favourite already, and will be for years to come. So, yeah, we've been for all the bad signings we made over the years, we've had some good ones this year. How about you? How about on the Villa end?
Yeah, well, I was trying to think about signings, and some of them is very early days and maybe too soon to judge. And I think if you look at our kind of best starting 11 at the moment, it's there's just one clear winner. Because you think about the team that maybe started against Leipzig a couple of nights ago. I think there was only one new signing that was in that team that we signed in 2024, and that is Morgan Rogers. And it's, I mean, what a steal! Just under 10 million pounds, maybe up to 10 million with add-ons. From Middlesbrough. Completely kind of a under the radar signing. I didn't know much about him. I knew he'd obviously had a good run in the Carabao Cup with Middlesbrough at the start of last year, and I think he did finish the top scorer in that competition. Um, but what an incredible like 2024 he's had to come in as maybe like a bit of a fringe player, a young player, maybe a bit of a one for the future, and kind of ended up just getting chucked in the team because Jacob Ramsey got just kept getting injured. And
Mm.
so he had to play. And obviously, we had a small squad throughout the majority of last season, and we kind of started to run out of players. And so he got quite a lot of game time. And with every game, he just got a bit better and a bit better and a bit better. Um, and yeah, I mean, he ended. It was I think he got injured just at the end, the last couple of games of last year, and it was a bit of a loss right at the end. But then, wow, to come back in 2020, 2024, 2025, and to start the season the way that he did. I mean, he was one of the best players in the league in the opening phase of the season. Got himself an England call up. I think he's one of very few players who's played every single league game, started every single league game. He might have even. I think it's only the Carabao Cup that he hasn't started. He started everything for us. So versatile, can play in that sort of shadow striker role with Ollie Watkins, or out on the left where he has been in the last few games and starting to tick again. So yeah, hands down has to be him. Um, there's a few players that may, with time, I think will be really, really good. Obviously, Amadou Onana started really, really well, but he's been injured the last few weeks. Ian Matson can't get in the team, and when he has got in the team, hasn't really looked very good at this stage. I hope that changes because we paid a lot of money for him. Um, Joe Gauci will be the number two goalkeeper at some point, so we'll see how he gets on as well. Um, and there's just a lot of we'll see how it goes with them, but yeah, hands down Morgan Rogers.
Very good. We'll get onto some more negatives in a minute, but should we quickly do? I don't know if you did this one, Cal. Like a starting 11 of 2024. So your best 11 players across the season.
Ooh.
Tough one.
We did, yeah. I mean, it probably doesn't change too much from last year, to be honest.
Yeah, sure.
I imagine it's probably something along the lines of Martinez, Cash Konza, um, Kamara, even though he was injured for a large portion, and but we missed him so badly. Um, yeah, Kamara. I don't think I can put Douglas Luiz in there because he struggled just before he left. So we'll put Tielemans in there in the middle, and then we'll go uh, Bailey, McGinn, Rogers, Watkins. Be something like that.
Yeah, there you go. The team that sort of defines 2024, performed the best in 2024. Yeah, mine
Yeah.
would be in contrast, completely different to last year because most of these players weren't with us when we came in last year. Obviously, we've had almost a completely different 11 this year. But it would basically be the League One team. The only real toss up for me in terms of position would be goalkeeper, really. In terms of last season to this season, John Ruddy obviously was a good keeper for us for 2 years, but I'd argue he didn't have his best performance, like his best four. I think his first season was better than his second, and I feel like Ryan Allsop's came in and really just. Chris Davies talked about a live goalkeeper competition between Allsop and Bailey Peacock Farrell, and it's just not happened at all. Farrell's kind of struggled. Ryan Allsop has just completely cemented it as his own. Few penalty saves, clean sheets. much more comfortable on the ball, it seems. So yeah, I think Ryan Allsop absolutely has to go in goal. And I say he was the only toss-up, but right back as well, actually. Not the easiest. Ethan Laird obviously has been our main right back. But I'm going to give it to Cody Dramer, who I thought really grew into his role on loan with us last season. So then he'd be the only one really from last season who hasn't been there this season, who cements his place in the team. It's a shame we didn't get to keep him for this year, really. But shout out to Taylor Gardner Hickman, who I think's done very well at right back as well when he's filled in. I think Led's just had a lot of injuries and been in and out of the team and stuff. But yeah, so I'd give it to Allsop, and then right back would be Dramer, and then my two centre backs, Bielik and Clara, no brainer. Cochrane at left back, no brainer. Peck and Iwata at centre mids, no brainer. And then I would have Keshi Anderson, who's signed a contract extension in the summer or sorry, signed a contract extension recently and has been put on the right wing. He's been excellent, so he'd be on the right wing. I'd put Willem Willemsen as the number 10, and I think Chris Davies has finally realised as well that you need to have Alfie May up front and Stansfield on the left for that to really work. I think he kind of been trying it with like Stansfield up top and May behind him, and it just wasn't quite working as well. So yeah, that would be my 11. It is mainly this season's team, but I'd say Allsop, Dramer, Bielik, Clara, Cochrane, Iwata, Peck, Keshi, Willemsen, Stansfield, and May would be my 11 of 2024. So yeah,
Yeah,
no
maybe I'd
room for
swap.
Ollie
Maybe,
Burns, sadly.
yeah. I was just thinking, I, maybe I'd swap out Leon Bailey for John Duran and just shift the team around a bit. It's hard to say because Leon Bailey's been so poor this season, but was so good last season. So there's sort
Yeah,
of like,
that's the challenge. Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
maybe you could do that one.
yeah.
Let's
Cool.
let's talk about the low points. I think we'll save yours till second here, Dan, because
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it might be a longer section. Sure.
yours might be a longer
Yeah,
section.
yeah,
And as I said, the 2024 was a bit of a year of ups and downs, and we have maybe struggled for consistent form. Um, but the low point is just so obvious, and that's the Olympiacos at home match in the Conference League semi-finals. That was, yeah, maybe you could maybe just say the whole tie in general, but I think the low point is definitely the first leg at Villa Park. The expectation, the anticipation, the excitement, and I truly believe we were going to win that competition. Um, and especially after we beat Lille, which we'll talk about a bit later. Um, that was like a moment where I thought, oh my God, we're going to win this competition. It's fate. It's that classic, like when we won the playoffs, we're doing it the hard way, but we're gonna do it. And we had suspensions, we had injuries, and we were just completely caught out by an Olympiacos side that was so fired up and so up for it. I mean, they were fantastic on the night. I mean, Daniel Podence, who used to play for Wolves, was unplayable. He was fantastic that night. We obviously had Robin Olsen in goal. We were 2-0 down. But then we pulled it back. We got back to 2-2. It's like, right, game on, start again. Even if the game finishes 2-2, that's that, from being 2-0 down, it's a good place to be going into the away leg. And then Douglas Luiz gives away a penalty. We also concede another long range goal, which the goalkeeper should probably save. And so it's 4-2, and then we miss a penalty right at the end to make it 4-3. And the guy that I still kind of believe that we could go to Greece and maybe get the result we needed, but the tie was kind of done at
yeah,
halfway, and then in the second leg we were a goal down inside 20 minutes, and the game was just completely over. And yeah, real low point and really disappointing because um I even went to the final. I had a bloody ticket for the final anyway, but to then
you
go
had a
to the
good, you had a
final.
good trip.
I had a great trip. I had a great trip. But like to go to the final, then Olympiacos did go on and win it. And it's like, damn, I mean, it really felt like this could have been us. And
Yeah,
yeah, that I think until we actually win something in my lifetime, that one will really sting. A bit like maybe the two Carabao Cup finals. They still hurt a little
yeah,
bit. The FA Cup not so much because we were dreadful and got battered on the day.
yeah, yeah,
But
sure.
um, but yeah, that's a low point.
Yeah, what could mine be?
Yeah. What could yours be, Dan? What was your low
Um,
point for
yeah,
Blues?
obviously my low point was May the 4th, I think it was, when we got relegated. But yeah, very surreal, very like odd day.
I would argue, would it not actually be? one of the two games before that against Rotherham and Huddersfield.
Yeah, so the actual low point was relegation. That was like, a very odd feeling. And it's a weird moment where all the other games had ended. And so we knew our game hadn't ended yet, but we knew we could have won 10-0 and we knew we were still going to go down. So that was the low point. But the worst game would be a different answer. I think, yeah, like, because obviously we won that last game against Norwich as well. So the actual performance on the day and all that wasn't too bad. So them two games before where we drew away at Rotherham 0-0, which I did go to, and then we drew away at Huddersfield 1-1, and they were like they were the two teams below us, I think, weren't they, that went down with us. And they were like if we'd won one of them, we would have stayed up. And I love Rowett, and I think we had some good moments under him when he came back. And we didn't get relegated because of what he ddid. It was what happened over the whole season, to make that clear. But I really don't know why he didn't just go for it in one of them. I remember we went to um we were that Rotherham game, and like Ollie Burke, not to scapegoat him, but Burke was like starting on the right wing, and we were like, what? And we were so poor. So they were real low points, and I'd argue there was a game. It was Venus was still in charge, and we lost to Middlesbrough at home. I think that was in about March time, and Alex Pritchard, who we'd just signed in the January, he's got the ball, and he just really sloppily lost the ball to Riley McGree, who used to play for us, obviously, and McGree just lashes one in, and Middlesbrough win 1-0, and we were so bad. It was a real point of like, I'd argue for worst game, that might actually be the worst game. That was like a real moment of, oh, this is like a serious, serious problem now. And there was a real, and we saw it again in the Rotherham and the Huddersfield games, like just a complete lack of leadership and um any sort of like fight in them at all. And what I stand by, we had real talented players still, like Miyoshi and Dembele and all that, and Jordan James, but just no like character really, or not enough of it for sure. I'd argue the worst game, yeah, was maybe that Middlesbrough game, because I think that was when it really became clear that we were in serious trouble and we would have to get another person in probably. So yeah, low point would be relegation, but worst would be that Middlesbrough home loss. And we had a lot of them, just 1-0 home losses where we were just so passive and didn't lay a glove on them. So yeah, that would be my answer. Yeah.
What about your most shocking moment of the year?
I think I
Could
just
be
touched on.
good, could be bad. Just something that had you draw on the floor.
Sure, I'll say then. So my most shocking moment was the Stansfield signing, because I don't think anyone thought we'd be splashing that money. Um, and so that was remarkable. Relegation was not a shock, like in the end, because it was, coming. But so yeah, my number one would be the Stansfield signing, but I will say, on a much smaller scale, the Burke starting against Rotherham was the biggest, like, it was the biggest, like, that must be a typo. That, like, no, come on, no, come on, he's not playing. No, come on. Burke hadn't played for us in like about 4 months because he just wasn't very good. And then we had this massive game away at Rotherham, and in that same game, actually, we Stansfield scored, and he scored in like the 80th minute. It was a great finish. It got ruled out for offside, and the shock of in the celebration of looking over and seeing the flag up, that was a shock as well.
There was a
I was
pitch
like, what?
invasion as
Like,
well, wasn't there, when
there
that
was,
went
yeah,
in? Yeah.
it was that mental. No, but the Stansfield signing for the big money and the big reveal for that was on deadline. Was it on deadline day? I think it was. That was pretty great. How about you?
I mean, it hands down has to be Lille away in the Conference League quarterfinals, where we won, drew, and lost all on the same night. It
Yeah,
was
sure.
absolutely mental. We played really badly. We conceded quite early on, I think. So that made it, I think, 2-2. And then we still weren't playing great in the second half and conceded again. It was like we were then losing the game on aggregate. It was like, oh shit, this isn't good. We're in trouble here. And then Matty Cash just rifles one in almost in stoppage time to take the game to extra time. We almost win the game in extra time with John Duran. And then it goes to penalties. Emi Martinez gets the equivalent of what, like 3 yellow cards or something ridiculous over the whole
Yeah, yeah,
tie.
yeah.
He
I
got
remember
booked.
this.
He was already booked for not for time wasting, even though we were a goal down in the first half. Then he gets booked again for giving it large to the Lille fans after he saved a penalty. Yeah,
I,
madness.
I never want to hear Villa fans say they're unlucky ever again. There's like
Yeah,
that. I remember I was in O'Neill's actually. Me and Joe, our mate Ethan,
yeah, yeah.
we went to I think we'd gone somewhere and then we were going to go for a drink and we forgot the Villa game was the early game. And so we went into O'Neill's and it was just full of Villa fans. We just sat on like a table watching it. And I remember like the three yellow cards thing, and
Yeah.
I was like, I can't believe they can get away with that.
Yeah.
That and then like that and then the year you stayed up with like 35 points or something ridiculous. Like I never want to hear it ever again. It's crazy. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. The penalty shootout was, yeah, I can't believe it. We really didn't deserve to go through that night. We were dreadful, and it just took some heroics. And we almost threw away the penalty shootout as well
Mm.
because Leon Bailey missed his penalty. But yeah, but what a crazy night.
Was it as exciting as our penalty shootout against Warsaw in the group stages of the trophy? We lost 4-3. I bet it wasn't as
Uh,
good as
I don't know, Dan. I don't know.
very
What?
good.
Go on. Player of the year?
Yeah, sure. Obviously, I've touched on it. It's got to be Stansfield. Across the whole year, he's been excellent. But I mentioned him earlier. Peck has been. I'd not exaggerate. I think Peck and Iwata could be a lower Premier League pairing. I think they're that good. Um, yeah. So across the year, I think Peck's been excellent. But I will give it to Stansfield. So yeah, pretty obvious one. But how about you?
There's a few contenders. I think Ollie Watkins won Player of the Season, but maybe doesn't win Player of the Year. I think Morgan Rogers is up there. He's been excellent. Esri Konsa, bit of an unsung hero in this Aston Villa team. So versatile, will play wherever he needs to play, and is consistently one of our best players. I think I'll give it to Emi Martinez. Obviously, won the Yashin Award again, mostly for his heroics with Argentina. But I think in the crunch games we've had this year where he hasn't played, he's been such a notable miss. And I think
Mm.
of the Champions League games, the Bayern match and the Juventus game in particular, where the world class saves he pulled off that helped us get 4 points out of those games. Yeah, he will probably go down as one of our best ever players. I mean, he is world class, and yeah, I think this year when he's one of the he's a real big game player, I think, and he's one of the few players in that team that is a winner, you know. So, the guy plays with Lionel Messi like every few months on international duty, and I mean the pressure of maybe trying to win Lionel Messi Copa Americas and World Cups must give you that sort of confidence of, well, if I can do this for Lionel Messi, maybe I can do something for Villa. So yeah, we'll give it to Emiliano Martinez.
That is fair enough. So that's 2024.
Yeah, that
It's
was the year.
it's I know we say it's gone quick, but you think back to them early days, and for me it'd be like Rooney and all that, and Mowbray coming in. That does feel like a long time ago, to be fair. Now that I think about it, it's one of them years where if I mentioned it earlier, if you told me where we'd be at the end of the year, at the start of the year, I'd be like, wow, that's going to be pretty, that's going to be pretty busy. So yeah, fascinating year. So shall we look ahead now to 2025?
Yeah.
um, and kind of what we're hoping for, what we think might happen in general. So, Cal, what are you thinking for 2025?
I think the the biggest aim, the most important thing that we do in 2025 is qualify for any form of European competition for the 25-26 season. That is that is the minimum we need to hit. Mostly because that's what's going to keep the best players here. That's what's going to keep the manager here. And that's how we can continue building, and we've come such a long way in a very short space of time. We did only get promoted to the Premier League in 2019. The rise has been quite exceptional, really. And we even had Steven Gerrard for a year of that. So and
And Dean
that's has
Smith,
to
and
be
Dean Smith for two of them. He was in the Premier League.
um
In the Premier League.
in the Premier. Yeah, but he kept us up the first year, and the second year was really, really good, but should have been
Okay,
better.
fair enough. Yeah. I suppose. Yeah.
Um, I I've lost my much. Oh yeah, we've seen so qualify for Europe because that has to be important. We've seen even like with Newcastle, they got into the Champions League, but then missed out completely the following year. Um, so even if it's the Conference League, if it's the Europa League, the Champions League, just one of them, just make sure we qualify for it. And I think we're more than good enough to do that, especially with the way that there are some very inconsistent teams that you would expect maybe to be up there at the moment. I personally, I'd like us to take the FA Cup seriously. I don't think we will, but that is a hope that maybe, maybe we can get past the third round again. That would be pretty wild. And then I guess maybe we are going to qualify for some sort of knockout football in the Champions League. A hope would be that if we can automatically qualify in that top 8 and be auto qualified into the round of 16, that would be sensational and something that I really wouldn't have expected or possibly have dreamed that we could have done even at the start of the year. So I think those are maybe like the top 3 for 2025. Really, get out the third round of the FA Cup, qualify for Europe again, and see if we can make the top 8. I think they're good goals for us to aim for.
Cool. Yeah, mine would be obviously. I mean, let's hope I don't curse it in the way that I did last year. But I would say, yeah, obviously, we have to get promoted. The number one thing is we have to keep going on the trajectory we're on, and we have to get promoted. And the league has to win the league as well. The money we've spent, win the league. I know this is also ambitious, but we're currently on track to get. I worked it out the other day. We're on track to get 105 points. The record is 103, so there's not much room for error there. So it would be amazing if we can beat that, but we need to get promoted and win the league. That is like what we need to do. For the money we've spent, for the scale of the project, that's what we need to do. And keep building hope. And I really want us in the second half of the season, I want us to really, like I mentioned that Wrexham game earlier and the Bolton game and how well we played. I'd love to see that on a more consistent basis, like just real authority as we go through it. We got a nice run coming up now on paper, so hopefully maybe over this Christmas period we can really string another nice run of results together. But I also, Cal, I also want a day at Wembley in April. EFL Trophy final would be lovely. I know people call it this and that, but we beat Exeter the other night, and I was like, it was a close one, and I was like, if we lost tonight, people would have been livid. So so it does mean something.
Yeah.
So I would love us to get to Wembley. We haven't been to Wembley obviously since 2011 when we won the Carling Cup. So that would be great, and that would be something to really look forward to.
I don't think
I
you
know
can
it's
turn
not,
your nose up at a trip to Wembley regardless of the competition that you're
no.
playing in.
And I was thinking as well. So I was looking at the draw. Wrexham are still in it. If it's a Blues Wrexham final, I reckon that'd be pretty tasty. I think that'd be pretty big actually. I reckon that'd get quite a few eyes on it. So I'm looking forward to that. I would also love if we've got Lincoln in the FA Cup third round. I would love if we get through. I'd love a good draw in the fourth round as well. Get Man United at home or something. Just it's been a while since we had a big team like that.
I don't
So
think
yeah,
Man United
priority.
will make the fourth round, so I wouldn't be
No,
hankering
oh no,
down
they
on
got
that
Arsenal,
one.
haven't they?
Yeah.
Sorry, no, they got Arsenal. Yeah, no chance. So yeah, get promoted is the priority, and I would love to win the EFL trophy would be great. So or the Bristol Street Motors, the Virtue Trophy, whatever it's called now.
The
So yeah,
Mushroom
that's my
Cup.
hope. The Mushroom Cup, yes. I think that just about wraps us up anyway, Cal, for this week and this year. So
Yeah.
so yeah, thank you to everyone for listening. We hope you've had a great year with us in 2024. We'll be back in the new year, a bit more a regular schedule as well, hopefully. All being well. So
I think
yeah,
we should be back to weekly uploads in
yes.
January. So that's some exciting news.
Yes, we knew with this first half of the season with like obviously you're away a lot. We knew with Vegas and all that stuff it would be a little bit stop starty, but it's been great nonetheless. So in the meantime, please follow us on the socials on TikTok, Twitter, or whatever it's called now. And yeah, we'd really appreciate it. 2ND City Pod is the handle.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the support this year. It's been amazing. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2025. Dan, yourself, have a great Christmas. Thank you for another great year. And
Thank you as well, mate. Yeah. Have a great trip as well. Safe trip.
we'll do. And yeah, we'll see you in January and up the villa.
Keep right on. Take care.